Blaze Buddies! What's up, everyone? Well, it's been about a week since, well, I got back on Monday, so almost a week. Book came out on Monday. It dropped on Monday, and it's been really exciting. I don't think a lot of people know what's involved in writing a book. I mean, this particular book is something I've been wanting to do for a very long time. I'm not going to go into those specifics again. I did a long video talking about it. I just want you to know that, but a lot goes into even before it goes to print. And I'm very proud of myself for it. And having said that, I've been trying to promote it every day on all my social media, and I apologize if you're getting sick of it. But that's what you have to do when you drop a book. You got to promote. You got to get the word out. So that's what I've been doing. But I've been trying to make it interesting each day, something different, and like that's what I'm trying to do. So today is going to be. It's going to be another intimate moment in time that with my mom. It was more really with my father and sister, but it's with Mother's Day this weekend, and the fact that the book is really in honor and dedicated to my mom because of her mental illness. That's really one of the main reasons that's inspired me to write the book. So the other day, or yesterday, I think it was, I made a post of an intimate moment that my mom and I shared about a month before she passed. I'm very fortunate for that particular moment because 40 something years of my mother being in that mental prison, and all the stuff that me, my brother and sister and dad endured growing up, dealing with it all and managing it all. At some point, we all became adults and went our separate ways, but my dad at some point was still taking care of my mom after, he never left her. He never left the woman. I've done other videos when my dad passed, but we talked about that moment that her and I shared a month before she passed. Well, sadly, and this is sad, but this is the day she passed. Now, and this is a moment in time that I'll never forget because it was definitely a moment in time my father took with him to the grave. And I know my sister will never forget it. So it was a regular day for me. I was at the gym, banging out clients, cranking it away, kicking ass as always. And then I get a text from my sister. This is like 8:15 a.m. I think, if I remember correctly, and that was 2007. That was almost 20 years ago. I get the text and I'm thinking, oh man, this can't be good. My sister's texting me at 8:30, 8:15 in the morning. My client was on the treadmill, warming up. I'm at my desk. Here I am now, calling my sister, what's going on? My mother had passed away. So I immediately, without even hesitation, went right up to my client on the treadmill. I didn't even have to say a word to her. Her name is Marissa. And Marissa, if you're watching, you remember that day. I had the look on my face from across the room. The minute I walked up to her on the treadmill, she goes, go. Go. You do what you got to do. She knew. She had lost her mom. And she, to this day, decades and decades later, She's still, to this day, will never forget it. So she's like, just go. I'm fine. So I fly home. I fly to the hospital. I get there. My father and my sister are in a little waiting room, and my sister tells me the story. My dad, every morning, my dad would go to Burger King and meet with his old little buddies. He had done that his whole life. He every morning would go and they'd all hang out and tell stories, and it's like the old guys here at the gym where I work. They all congregate together and hang out and do their thing. And my father always would pick up my mother a coffee and bring it back to her. So he tells my mom, I'm gonna go to Burger King. I'll be back later. I'll get you a coffee. So my mother, in her own capacity, says okay, and my father goes off. My mother decides to, and she used to do this a lot, she would take a freezing cold shower. I think there's definitely a correlation between schizophrenics being chain smokers for the nicotine, that high they get, that euphoria, or maybe it works almost like Ritalin. I don't know. It definitely has a neurological controlling effect on them in a good way. Well, the cold showers, I think, were doing that also for my mom. She was way long ahead of her time before all the cold plunges and all this other stuff. So she decides to go take a cold shower, freezing cold shower. Now, my mother, 40-something years of chain smoking 4 to 5 packs of cigarettes a day. Her heart, lungs, everything else, you couldn't be in that great a shape at that point. She was in her early 60s. She gets in the shower, immediately goes into a heart attack, drops, and just she passes away right there in the shower. My father comes home, maybe an hour later, he with a coffee, all happy to put my mom's coffee on the table, wondering where my mom was. He hears the shower going. He goes in the bathroom. He finds my mom laying there. The water's still going. She's laying there. He's frantically trying to revive her. He calls my sister. He called the ambulance. My sister ends up coming down because she used to live in the house up on the top of the hill. We had some property in Methuen. And she sees my mother also there, laying there, passed away. And that visual in her mind, I can't even imagine that my father and my sister, the visual in their head of seeing that. So of course the ambulance comes. She's gone. They take her to the hospital, and at that point I had got there from the gym, and that's when she told me basically the whole story. Actually, no, she told me it when we were on the phone earlier, and then I already knew. And we're all in that little room, and I didn't know what to think. I couldn't even look at my father, my sister. It was just shock. And at some point, the doctor or nurse comes in and says, do you want to go see your mom? And I couldn't do it. I didn't want to have that visual of my mom laying on that slab, passed away. I just didn't want to see it. So sadly, that's the story. And I mean, you have to talk about the bad with the good. And with Mother's Day this weekend, I thought it was only fitting to just let people know that my mom didn't go out easy. It was pretty tragic. It's pretty intimate, but that's how it goes, Sad. But we gotta look to the good memories of things. So that's that. I didn't mean to be negative or anything like that. I just want to, again, I want to put a lot of emphasis on this is Mother's Day this weekend. And if your mom is still with us, tell her you love her as much as you can. Spend as much time with her as you can, because your mom is your rock. Even to this day, on my arm, I have the day she passed. I remember her like it was yesterday. So that's that. I gotta go. Happy Mother's Day to you all, and happy Mother's Day to all your moms. All right. Okay. Now listen. Buy my book. Please support. Help me out. I'm proud of this. Join the crazy. All right, I gotta go. Happy Mother's Day.